Quietly, without fanfare or announcement, everything you've been working toward has begun to align. The timing, the people, the unseen doors that once stayed shut, all of it has been shifting behind the scenes, moving in silence like roots spreading beneath the soil. You've been showing up in moments when no one was clapping, giving your best even when no one seemed to notice. But something was noticing. The energy you've been sending out was never ignored. The universe was measuring, adjusting, arranging things in perfect sequence. And now, this message, right here, is the sign that the waiting wasn't rejection. It was preparation. Every delay had a design. Every silence had structure. Because what's arriving now is not random fortune. It's the organized return of everything you've been preparing for. Let's break down why this season, this exact window of time, carries the energy of visible return. You've probably felt it lately, how suddenly things that once felt heavy are starting to move. The same routine, the same effort, but now ideas connect, people respond, and pathways that once resisted you are beginning to cooperate. It isn't luck, it's system synchronization. All the invisible parts of your life, your focus, your habits, your vibration, have finally locked into rhythm. Think of it like an ecosystem recalibrating itself. Every moment you stayed committed, you were feeding that system with data, proof that you were ready. Every act of faith, every choice to keep going when nothing made sense, was logged into what you could call the universal algorithm. You weren't invisible. You were being calculated for precision. The silence wasn't neglect. It was incubation. Life operates on feedback loops, not instant response. Think about how a thermostat doesn't heat the room the moment you twist the dial. It reads the input, gathers information, then gradually releases the right temperature. The universe operates with the same intelligence. You've been giving consistent inputs for months, maybe years, through patience, resilience, discipline, and quiet faith. Change doesn't show up instantly because systems take time to stabilize. The frustration most people feel comes from expecting a microwave reaction from an ecosystem that works like a growing forest. The delay you mistook for denial was actually momentum building behind the scenes. Each prayer, each small effort, was adjusting the frequency of your reality until everything could finally match. And when that moment arrives, when all inputs harmonize, that's when the invisible becomes visible. That's when the breakthrough lands. You've been stacking energy this whole time without realizing it. Every routine, every late night, every hard conversation, every lesson learned, all of it has been compounding beneath your awareness. It's like filling a container drop by drop until, at last, the surface tension breaks and the water overflows. That overflow moment isn't sudden. It's the visible proof of all the invisible persistence that came before it. In physics, it's called the threshold effect, when stored energy finally transforms into movement once a certain point is reached. The water doesn't boil until it hits 100 degrees Celsius. And then, all at once, it transforms. Your life works the same way. You've been building the pressure required for transformation, and this is the month when that stored intensity starts to pour forward. Let's make it tangible. Think of a creator who uploads content for years with barely any recognition. Then one day, one video explodes. Everyone calls it luck, but it's never luck. The algorithm has been learning from their consistency all along, storing engagement data, measuring patterns, waiting for the right signal alignment. When the threshold hits, visibility ignites. The same mechanics are true for you. In your relationships, your work, your growth. Every effort has been feeding the system. Once your energy crosses its threshold, the universe has no choice but to respond. What you call sudden success is just cumulative readiness revealing itself. You weren't waiting on the world. The world was waiting on your equation to balance. So why does it all move at once? Because energy doesn't release in drips. It moves in waves. Once the internal and external frequencies align, motion multiplies. You'll start noticing it now. How conversations fall into place, how people return, how opportunities resurface in perfect timing. These are not coincidences. They're confirmations that the system has switched from storage to flow. The delays you once cursed were actually saving up energy for this surge. What felt like silence was your system buffering, gathering data, preparing for smooth transmission. Now, that data is turning into motion. You're entering the feedback phase, where reality mirrors back everything you've been signaling. The proof is in the patterns. If you've started seeing moments of ease where there was once friction, pay attention. When resistance fades without reason, it means your alignment signal has been received. You're not pushing anymore. You're sinking. Every opportunity showing up now is the reflection of an old input returning home. This is what divine timing feels like. A subtle shift from effort to flow. It's the moment when the equation completes itself and what you once chased starts finding you. Now comes the deeper question. How do you recognize that the payout cycle has actually begun? There are always signals, but they're rarely loud. They appear like whispers, subtle confirmations that your inner world and the outer world are finally dancing to the same song. People often call them coincidences, but they're patterns, feedback, vibrations made visible. The universe speaks through repetition, small alignments that echo across different areas of your life. The key is learning to distinguish real signals from emotional noise. When you can tell the difference, you stop chasing signs out of desperation and start reading them with awareness. The first signal of alignment is spontaneous clarity. It's that sudden knowing that feels effortless, the kind that doesn't come from analysis, but from relief. The confusion that once clouded your thoughts begins to dissolve, and what used to feel complicated becomes stunningly simple. You wake up one day, and the decision that's been haunting you just clicks. Psychologists might call it cognitive congruence, when your beliefs, desires, and environment finally agree. Spiritually, it's your intuition and logic syncing frequencies. It's the end of mental static. That's why it feels like peace. You don't force it, you recognize it. The clarity you feel is the signal that the system has synced. The second sign is the effortless removal of obstacles. Barriers that once seemed immovable start quietly falling away. Delayed projects resume. Messages get answered. Opportunities that disappeared reemerge better than before. Even people who no longer align with your energy naturally fade without conflict. This isn't coincidence. It's rebalancing. Systems remove interference once the core frequency stabilizes. What was resisting you was never personal. It was energetic mismatch. Now that your inner state has changed, external friction dissolves. Think of it like a dam that finally releases after holding back water for too long. Once the current stabilizes, flow returns naturally. And then comes the third and final sign, internal urgency. Not anxiety, not panic, but a calm, powerful pull to move. It feels magnetic, like life itself is saying, go now. You can't rationalize it, but you know it's right. Neuroscience calls this readiness potential, your brain activating movement before the conscious mind decides. Spiritually, it's resonance. The energy inside you has locked onto the rhythm of divine timing, and action becomes instinctive. You stop hesitating because you're no longer waiting for permission. The call to act is the proof that alignment is real. But here's where many people get stuck. They chase the signs instead of responding to them. When you start forcing meaning into everything you see, you distort the signal. Real signs don't demand obsession. They invite awareness. Recognition is quiet. It's when you know without overthinking, when patterns line up across unrelated parts of life. Clarity, ease, and that inner pull appearing all at once. That's when you know the system has finished listening and has started speaking back. You're no longer waiting on miracles. You're standing inside the response. This is the activation phase, the bridge between awareness and action. The signals you've received are not permission to pause. They're an invitation to participate. Many people freeze right here. They sense movement, they see the door open, but they hesitate, waiting for more proof. But hesitation after confirmation weakens the signal. Energy fades when it isn't used. The only way to stabilize this alignment is through motion. The system has shifted from listening to delivering, and your participation is the final command that completes the transfer. Think of it like pressure building behind a valve. Your patience, discipline, and trust have built immense potential energy. Once the valve opens, that energy won't just sit idle. It needs a direction. Every message, opportunity, or challenge showing up now is energy looking for a conduit. Your movement is what turns that energy into reality. This is why sometimes opportunities arrive disguised as inconvenience. They're disguised tests of readiness. Those who recognize the pattern act. Those who hesitate reset the loop. Readiness is recognition. When you're prepared internally, you'll see clearly which signals are yours. You won't confuse fear with intuition. You'll move with confidence instead of caution. That's what divine timing feels like. Not chaos, but rhythm. Momentum doesn't need certainty. It needs participation. Your role is to match the flow with action. Every step you take feeds the loop, amplifies the signal, and stabilizes the breakthrough. Momentum is the language of alignment. Faith without action stays potential. Faith with movement becomes reality. You don't maintain flow through waiting. You sustain it through consistent engagement. Wake early for the thing you prayed for. Return the call you almost ignored. Start the project even if it feels early. Action translates spiritual energy into tangible creation. Motion is how you sign your name on the miracle that's arriving. Without it, the system keeps looping without landing. This month is not about waiting. It's about witnessing. Everything you've planted is sprouting now. The system has switched from buffering to broadcasting. The frequency of alignment is active and alive. All you have to do is match it with movement. Let your effort mirror the energy that's been preparing for you. You don't need to chase proof anymore. You are the proof. The feedback loop is complete. So, if this message reached you, it's not random. It's not a coincidence that these words found you today. It's the universe tapping your shoulder, saying, "It's time." The delay is over. The system is online. Every ounce of effort you've given has returned as momentum. Don't hesitate now. Don't second guess what you've already built. This moment belongs entirely to you. Step through the door. Move with faith. Act like alignment isn't coming. It's here, because it is.